to date, with liquid staking derivatives, there's been two curves that DEXs use. The first one is the constant product curve that is very popular in DeFi, where liquidity is equally distributed along the entirety of the curve, right? And then the other option is concentrated liquidity, where you take some of that liquidity from the outer edge of the curve and you concentrate it into a specific region where the majority of trading activity is. It creates better trading experience because you can make larger trades with less slippage, and the liquidity providers are happy because there's a higher utilization ratio on their liquidity, which means they're incurring more trading fees. However, here's the catch with those two curves. Staking derivatives tend to trade in a very specific range, okay? And it's typically, there's a ratio, like when you lock up your L1 token to mint out a staking derivative, typically speaking, the derivative never goes above this minting price point. And the reason that is, if someone buys a bunch of the derivative and it goes above that minting price point, an arbitrage player would instantly mint out the derivative, sell it on the open market, and essentially generate themselves a huge profit because of that buyer pushing the price above the minting price point. So there's this whole side of the curve that goes largely unused because price is never going to stay above the minting price point for a long period of time. And so with the constant product rule, you're essentially putting liquidity on parts of the curve that are never ever going to get touched. It's just wasted liquidity. It's wasted capital that isn't actually improving the trading experience, which is bad for the user and it's bad for the liquidity provider. So that's constant product. But that concentrated liquidity that I was talking about before, to date, has only ever been symmetrical. And so you would maybe be able to concentrate liquidity to the right of the minting point and the left of the minting point, but you're still putting liquidity above that minting price point where price never stays for very long. So once again, it's kind of, you have wasted liquidity when you're using a symmetrical concentrated liquidity curve. And so this is where we've done something that's never been done in DeFi, and it's called asymmetric concentrated liquidity. And so we're able to have a concentrated region, not directly at the minting price point, but between the minting price point and to the left of that. So we don't push a bunch of concentrated liquidity above the minting price point. We can a little bit to ensure if someone buys in mass that there's still good liquidity and that's good trading experience. But instead, we focus it to the left of that minting price point in the region where the majority of arbitrage and trades happen. And so this ends up being significantly more capital efficient than even symmetrical concentrated liquidity. And this makes sense because order flow on derivatives isn't symmetrical. It's actually kind of a one-directional order book flow on average. The majority of the trading volume goes a certain direction where people are selling the derivative. And this is tied to risk premiums and long-form arbitrage. But the net result that matters is that with this asymmetric concentrated liquidity, with $1 million worth of liquidity on an Atom to ST Atom pool, a user could trade $100,000 worth of selling ST Atom to Atom or going from Atom to ST Atom, and they're only going to incur 0.13% slippage. They could trade 10% of the pool and be inside of this asymmetric concentrated liquidity region and have an incredibly efficient pair. Better, like factors more efficient than constant product and significantly more efficient than even symmetrical concentrated liquidity. So better for the user, better for the liquidity provider. And it's never been done.